Welcome to the Black Men Think podcast. If this is your first time here, know that the views and opinions expressed by the Black Men Think podcast are those of the Black Men Think podcast and not the individual members. With that being said, we're about to be unapologetically, undeniably black. Enjoy.
Hey man, what's going on? Welcome to Black Man Think podcast, where we elevate our black men because black men be out here thinking. So first off, y'all see the new setup. We still working with some kinks. We don't know if this is going to be the full setup, but check us out, man. I told y'all we're going to try to improve a lot of things on the podcast. So before we go any further, man, make sure y'all subscribe, like, comment, do all the good stuff, everything Black Man Think. And if you want bonus content, be sure to go to patreon.com/blackmanthink and join our journey. So quick news before we get into the sip of the week. I want to make sure we get this at the top. You guys heard about our segment, Ask a Black Man, correct? And so something unique that we're doing, we opened this up for our Patreon members first, and now we're going to open this up for the rest of our audience. But now you can call and leave us voicemails, right? So here's the number real quick, 404-939-6477. Once again, 404-939-6477. Give us a call, leave us a voicemail asking us a question, right? Keep it short, 60 seconds or less, man. We want to be able to get to these as best as we possibly can. But if that's you and you're interested in doing that, be sure to go ahead and call and leave a voicemail and ask a black man a question. It could be anything. There's nothing off limits. We pick and choose what we're going to answer, of course. But, whatever's on your mind, right? And we're going to pick the best one that we feel, and we'll read them out and answer them live on the podcast. So, sip of the week, cranberry juice. I'm by myself. I'm dolo. And I really just wanted some cranberry juice. It's nothing real serious, just something nice and light. But today, kind of like a different format, is me by myself, but it was something that I felt myself dealing with for the past couple of days. So I kind of want to get on the air and actually talk about it. And I know we're coming off of like Christmas and like we're heading to the new year, but this is also kind of like a shaky time for me because I'm constantly reminded that, hey, this is another year celebrating holidays without my dad. So for me, holidays are always kind of, I don't want to say wishy-washy, but I will say, I'll tell you why, because I'm kind of like on that in between, right? Like I have kids and I'm trying to celebrate with my kids, but also like I can't help but to think about those days of me being a kid. And so Christmas in particular is like a very weird holiday as of late for me, with my dad no longer being with us. So, normally our process would be like, either we are going to Macon where my folks are or going to Augusta where my wife's people are. And this year we stayed. My wife had to work, and with her job, like she has to work certain holidays, and like Christmas was one of those holidays. And so we stayed, and I was here with the girls, and we kind of just like kicked it and had a good time. Like they playing with their toys and whatnot, and we even started watching a movie. So we had a good time here. But that entire time, man, it was just like, man, I just thinking about like spending those Christmas mornings with my dad and like the stuff that we used to do. Like before we open up gifts, we were like read Bible verses, and that was like the program, right? Wake up. I don't care how many gifts are sitting out in the living room. Like the first thing we had to do was like read a Bible verse. So we'll read a Bible verse, and it'll rotate between me and my brother and sister. And then by the time we get down to it, like, we might do a prayer, and then like, okay, y'all go ahead and open up y'all gifts or whatever. But I just remember those times of like just growing up as a kid and seeing those, like the excitement, because I probably told y'all before, but like all of us, we have a age gap, right? Like, so I have an older brother that didn't stay in the house, but he's like 9 years older than me. Then it's me. Then I have a younger brother who's 9 years younger than me. And then I got a younger sister who is 7 years younger than my brother. And so like our age gaps was like crazy, right? But one of the cool things about it now looking back is that we got an opportunity to kind of see everybody in different stages. Like my parents got a chance to see all of their kids in different stages, right, at one time. So like, even if I was to look at a time like high school, for example, around 16, or I'll say 16 is a good starting point. So while I'm 16, I'm trying to figure out what life is going to look like for me in the next couple of years, going to college and whatnot. I got an older brother who is like 27. He's in life, you know what I'm saying? Got a kid and like working in his career. My younger brother is 7, and he's like, there's nothing to figure out, right? Like about life. At 7 years old, you going to school, you might get a chance to know who your first friend or friends, you know what I mean? Like, but that's pretty much the biggest part of your day is that's that. And then we got a newborn, right? My sister, I'm 16 years older than my sister. And so I just think about that that dynamic, right? 27, 16, 7, newborn on a Christmas morning, right? And I'm just like, yo, I can't even imagine what my mom and dad were dealing with, trying to process in their head. And my family, I have a family of gift givers. Like I would say, I've never had my mom actually do this test. I'm interested if, I may talk to her and just like ask her to do this. But my guess is if my mom was to do this test, the love language test, her love language would be gifts, right? Like my mom likes to shop and she likes to buy gifts for people. No matter, not saying that you might not necessarily love to give or whatever, you know what I mean? Like my mom called me, it's funny. My mom called me and was like, "Yo, what kind of cologne you like?" And I said like, "Hey mom, I like expensive cologne." Like jokingly, but serious at the same time. And my mom was like, "No, name the cologne." So I named the cologne. She was like, "Boy, I got some of that." And just kind of like she tried to flex on me for real, but you know, and then I just told her like, well, cologne is cool, but like what I really need is like another microphone type thing, right? And I'm throwing stuff out there. I'm at that age where I don't expect anything, honestly, gift wise. But if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you what I want, and then you can go from there. But long story short, went down there because my girls actually they're staying down there now. But I went down there and I got some cool gifts. Still waiting on the microphone. I think she said she had to order it and it's gonna take a little while. But I got some cool gifts. Like she got me this nice Atlanta Braves. Y'all know I'm a diehard Atlanta Braves fan, but she got me a nice Atlanta Braves decanter that I'm gonna put something in. I don't know what I'm gonna put in there just yet. Um, got what else did I get? Got a shirt and and socks. I don't know about y'all. Like, I know that's like the cliche gift, but like, I love socks. Like, I really love socks. My wife would joke right now if she was in the room and say like he has way too many socks because I do. So I've been going through the process of it. If I get a hole in the sock, it immediately goes in the trash can. And if it's a sock that is, you know, matches another sock, like, I might have 3 or 4 pair of the same sock. I just throw that sock and another sock, whether it got a hole in it or not, in the trash. Like that's just my new rule, right? But I'm always looking to replace the socks. I love socks, but yeah, that was the gift. But like kind of getting back to it, going through those motions, man, is really the older I get, I'm think I'm getting better at processing like my dad not being here, especially during the holidays. Because and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Like I'm not even the only one in my friend group that are possibly dealing with the same thing, right? Like not having a family member here for Christmas and holidays in general. But I think I'm getting better at processing those moments. And a lot of times it's just me kind of like quiet and like thinking and trying to like really be reserved and think about those good times, those good memories. And then sometimes it's just like, bro, still trying to figure it out. Like I'm not even sitting here and acting like I got it all together. Like some days it really hits. It hits just like, yo, I just want to like say what's up to my dad, like for real, for real. And those are the tougher moments when it's just moments might happen or things happen. Like my daughter lose a tooth, and like I'll send the group chat to like my mom, my sister, and brother, and like, yo, kid just lost a tooth. And then I'm just like reminded, right? So I'm gonna share a quick story with y'all. and how I learn that grief shows up in different stages, right? So I'm kind of all over the place. Forgive me, but this is really more so for me clearing thoughts out of my head. But I hit a new level of grief when it came to my father. So me and my wife, we going through finances and everything, just kind of looking at things, seeing what we can keep, what shouldn't we keep, like, what's a business expense, what's not a business expense. Like that's something that we kind of do on a normal basis. But like we're going through this process. It was like, yo, we need this. What is this? Right. And so what it is just like Apple subscriptions. And I have an Apple subscription for the mile tracker that I use to track my miles when I'm driving, doing the vending machine business and stuff. And I was like, oh no, that's like I'm tripping. That's a business expense, right? But I'm paying through it through an Apple subscription. So I go through the process of like something as simple as changing my credit card, right? Like moving it from personal account to my business card. And fam, when I tell you, I was like having the hardest time, and I was like, yo, what's going on? Can't even process like what's going on in this moment. And kind of do some research, and then I realized like, oh, I forgot. Like, so long story short, my dad have he had his Apple account, and he bought Final Cut Pro years ago, like early days of Final Cut Pro. And this was like early days of me just trying to like, like get into video editing and whatnot. And I was going to buy it, and my dad was like, oh no, like I got it. You can just use, log into my account, download Final Cut Pro. Right. So years go by, and of course with Apple, they came up with like family sharing. And so what I did was like, oh dad, I'll just put you on my account because he ain't buying anything, right? So I was just like, oh yeah, I just put you on my account, and I just put my card up under it, right? Because we joined family. I add him as a family member solely so I can use Final Cut Pro. And when doing that, because he was the person that purchased Final Cut Pro, this is so much inside baseball, whatever. I put my credit card up under his account. Not even worried about it. Like my dad's not using the account or whatever. So years have gone by, of course. My dad has passed along. And at this time, let's just say like he didn't do the best with keeping passwords and things of that nature, which is a whole nother conversation that y'all should definitely have, estate planning and whatnot. But I go to try to change the credit card, realize I can't because I have to log into my dad account. Go to log into my dad account, I have the password. And of course, as anybody that has an Apple product know, it's gonna send, you got to put in your two-factor verification code. All right, problem. My dad have all of these devices. However, they're no longer being used, and I can't do a two person verification because like they're on these things. So I was like, oh, we'll just use the backup source. The backup source is his phone number that has not been on for like years, right? So we're kind of stuck. I'm trying to like do something simple as change a credit card, and I'm presented with a new level of grief. And just like, yo, in that moment, very transparent, just a moment of frustration. Like, yo, why couldn't we just like get this stuff handled correctly? Like, it's not that hard to do. So I'm frustrated with my dad. I'm frustrated with Apple because I'm like, I'm trying to do something that I can't do that shouldn't be hard to do at all, right? Um, Shout out to my little bro. Like we was up to like 12 something, and my brother just like he casually said, was like, yeah, man, I'm trying to reset it, but he asked me for this credit card. We can't find this credit card anywhere. And I was like, what's the last four digits of the card? And I was like, yo, that's my card. And in that moment, we were just like had a sigh of relief because like my bro was like, man, mom been looking everywhere, trying to see if like maybe this was one of dad's old credit cards. Like we didn't know where this card came from. And I was like, yeah, that's my card. And so like we were able to go in and put my card number in, and like they came back and was like, Apple say, okay, cool. We sent instructions to your email. So my dad's email. So now I get hit with another level of grief. So I go to try to log into his email, and it hit me with the same thing. Like, yo, because the email hasn't been logged into in forever, it's asking me for a verification code, which is going to that same phone number that's no longer in existence. And then it was like, oh, but you can use your backup email. So go to the backup email only to get hit with, oh yeah, like here's the phone number. Or you can use this backup email, which is the email that we're trying to use in the first place. So all I can tell you is I was just constantly getting hit with reminders of like, yo, number one, you need to be on your joint. So to make sure that your wife and kids never have to deal with this, number one. But like number two is just like, yo, just frustration of constantly reminders of, and I'm thinking my dad just like probably giggling on some like, when you trying to do something like, bro, chill. You know what I mean? And but it wasn't funny in the moment. It was like very difficult for me because it was something that shouldn't have been hard to do that was hard and a reminder for me to make sure I got things taken care of. But um the good thing was we were able to resolve that. I got a random text message from Apple saying that like, oh yeah, you can log in and your number has been updated. And um tried to log into my dad's account. They hit me with the two-person verification again, but this time when I hit the phone number, my phone number came up. And so that was a problem solved and like a weight off of our shoulders, so to speak. But it was just like another reminder, man, just like, yo, my dad's not here. And so I say all that to say because I know other people might be dealing with that, other black men especially. Like, bro, number one, handle your business, man. Make sure you are number one transparent with like family. And not saying that my dad was hiding anything. It was just like a lack of just wasn't thinking about doing it. And I can't even really find the word right now, but it wasn't a priority for him to have that stuff wrote down in places, right? Like it wasn't. And so I'll say that. And also, man, just like making sure you're not holding that stuff in, right? And I'll be very transparent in this moment. I'm talking to you guys on the episode about it, and I haven't even really had that conversation with my wife about what I was dealing with a couple of days ago. And so, like, this is kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, and this conversation is a double-edged sword for me to have it as well. But it was just in this moment, just like, yo, I had to get these thoughts out. And now that I got this out, I'll be sure to have this conversation with my wife as well. But yeah, man, like holidays are not the same, especially when you're grieving a loved one and especially a loved one that was like heavily involved in your life. So if you are that person that's dealing with that, bro, like just know that you're not alone. Know that it is a process. Know that you have those memories. So make sure that you go back and tap into those memories. And don't be afraid to think about those good times because that's all we got, honestly. Like all we have are the memories. So like we have to truly lean on to those memories. I know for me, and I did express this to my wife, like, yo, I'm just not good with the not being around family during holidays. Like the staying at the house, and I know this was like unique circumstances, but I that's not gonna work for me. Like I feel like, especially during these times, I gotta be around like my family, like my brother, my sister, my mom. I think it's important for me, like even my grandmother's still living, to be around them during the holidays, just because for one, I don't get a chance to see them often, right? Like we're only an hour and 15 minutes away, but like we're all living life, bro. And it's not a normal thing for me to just like go down the road. Not and not even using it as an excuse. It's just the reality. It's just not a normal thing for me to just go down the road. So just making sure that we're prioritizing spending time with loved ones that are still here. So we don't have to live with the regret and the resentment of them not being here anymore and like have to deal with those thoughts and those feelings. So um, that's all I got for this episode. We will do a Ask a Black Man, right? So remember, if y'all want to be a part of the conversation, right? We want you to be a part of the conversation, number one. But if you have questions for us and you want to be a part of that segment, call 404-939-6477. My goal is by next week to have that number memorized. Remember, let's see, 404-939-64, I can remember, 77. But yeah, call that, leave a voicemail, keep it short, sweet, 60 seconds or less. Ask your question. So we do have a question right here. I don't have it queued up in the moment because I'm dolo right now, but I did have it wrote down. So I'm gonna ask it. Question is, what's the pettiest reason you ever stopped talking to someone? Um, I'm actually I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I will. It's the Black Man Think podcast, right? The pettiest reason for me to stop talking to somebody, I think it happened to me 2 times. One time was in high school where it was a young lady who, oh, I mean, I guess you could say we dated. We went out on dates. We were not in a relationship. It was not a boyfriend girlfriend situation, but we went out a couple of times. Waffle House, things of that nature. Whatever you do at 16, I guess, right? But and to this day, I don't even know why we stopped talking. We eventually started back talking, but um, shortly after we went, I won't say where we went because that might. I want to be respectful to that person. I don't even know if she would see this or not, but people that went to school with us may know this, so I don't want to. I want to be respectful. But after a certain event, we had an event where I was a part of that event, and she was my date for that event. And it's such a high school moment because I heard chatter, right? Like somebody came to me saying something about her, and then I can't even remember exactly what was said, but I do remember whatever was said. I was just like, what? Like on some, like you trying to play me type. And I was just like, all right, I'm cool on you. And like when I tell you this was something that happened in the fall, early fall. So like maybe October-ish. I didn't talk to her again until like next semester. So like maybe, I don't know, March or April or something. And we had classes together, all of that, but I was just like cold shoulder, bro. It was so immature. In the moment, like looking back at it, it was like, but I mean, I'm 16, so yeah, I was immature at 16 for sure. But yeah, that was like one of the pettiest things that just like not even talking to her about it. It was like listening to what somebody else said and then just going off of that, not even knowing if that was the truth or not. Um, the other thing, which I think is probably the most pettiest reason why I stopped talking to somebody, um, it was another young lady and she cut her hair. If the fellas were here, they know what I'm talking about. So like they would be laughing, but like she cut her hair, and like I don't know, man. Like I'm a sucker for hair or whatever, and yeah, bro. Like she cut her hair, and I did not like the haircut at all. And I'm just like, it's dorm rooms, and I'm just looking through the peephole, and I'm just like, that ain't it. Oh, so it's so wrong. But yeah, that is probably hands down the pettiest reason why I stopped talking to somebody because I didn't like their haircut. And yeah, ain't no other way to put that. That's what it was. I'm not happy about it, but this is Ask a Black Man, right? Y'all ask the questions. We're gonna answer them truthfully, even if that causes us to be embarrassed, embarrass myself. So yes, it's embarrassing. Yes, it's wrong. I don't feel good about it now saying it, but it happened. And so it is what it is. But there you have it. Remember, man, if y'all want to call in and leave that voicemail for Ask a Black Man, the number 404-939-6477. Boom, that's it. 404-939-6477. Call, leave a voicemail, leave it 60 seconds or less. Outside of that, man, remember this is Black Man Think podcast where we elevate our black man because black man be out there thinking. Be sure to subscribe everywhere Black Man Think. Go to blackmanthink.com and everything will pull up. But make sure you go ahead and follow us there. And if you want to follow us further on the journey, be sure to go to patreon.com/blackmanthink and join our journey there. We appreciate y'all. We thank y'all. And we'll see y'all next week.
The Black Men Think Podcast.